From Learfield on the Mustangs Sports Network, this is the Pony Express Show with head coach Rhett Lashley, presented by SMU Cox School of Business, your ally for life. Visit coxgrad.com to learn more. Now at Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue, here is your host, Rich Phillips.
Good evening and welcome to another night of the Pony Express Show here at Ozona Grill and Bar. We're here Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page as well. Thanks for everybody watching us here. Thanks for everybody who come out for us as well. I do need to tell you guys up front, it's not the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley this week. Unfortunately, he had a prior family obligation, so either that or, I don't know, he didn't want to talk to me this week, but I think it's the family obligation. So Rhett will be back next Wednesday night with us. So we've got a few guests who will be here. Scott Natty going to join us here in a little while on the show. And defensive coordinator Scott Simons is on his way, and we will have him up later in the show as well. But first up, let's welcome SMU linebacker Kobe Wilson to the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good. Appreciate you coming out here.
Appreciate y'all.
Kobe was first guest on the radio pregame, I think, this season, too. We had you on for that. You come in here, tied for the team lead with 18 tackles through the first three games, tied with Ahmad Moses and Isaiah Wacobia. Led the team with 80 tackles a year ago, and that's kind of was the mantra last year, kind of doing it again. You guys spread it around a lot on defense. Don't have one guy who's sitting here with 10, 12 tackles per game. Do you like that?
Yeah, because that just shows that we got plenty of talent on the SMU defense, and it's not going to be just one guy making a play. Everybody's going to make a play every single snap. So that just shows you the depth, the talent, and everybody we have on SMU. Can
it be frustrating at times when you don't get to post big numbers? Everybody wants to have the big numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get frustrating to me because I know I got dudes next to me like Ahmad Walker, Alexander Kilgore playing with me. So it's like, I know I'm not going to make every single play, and I get tired quick, man. I don't know about them, but, man, I get tired. So I'm glad they're there to make those plays for me.
Get tired when you make 34-yard interception returns too, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't take it to the house, man, but I tried, man.
2 years in a row now you've had an interception. Did you play any running back or anything growing up?
I tried. I wasn't good enough, though. But
That's why you're on defense?
Yeah, I couldn't catch either, so.
Well, you caught pretty well the other night. You were off balance, too, on that one.
I got lucky, man.
Yeah, CJ helped you out, too. Forced a not good pass from him.
Yeah.
Well, 3 weeks in, how do you guys feel on the defensive side of the ball? I think increasingly better each week with the 3 games.
We're not satisfied, though, because we know what the standard is, and the first game was kind of rough, going into Nevada. We didn't know what their game plan was, but the next week, HCU, we picked it up, and we feel like BYU, we did not enough. We did just enough, but we could have did more. And like you said, it was plenty of plays that we left out there. I could have scored on an interception. Jared could have scored. We felt like we had opportunities to make, but we just didn't make those plays. And at the end of it all, we got to be better than what we were, even on Friday.
That was a tough one, 18-15, BYU with a win Friday night. How hard is it to take a game like that afterwards and kind of have a long weekend to stew on it? And, I don't know, a long week with a bye week to stew on it too.
Yeah, so those are going to be the games I feel like I'm going to remember 40 years down the road, that we should have won, but now that we're in the bye week and we got TCU next week, we have to just work on ourselves and work on the things that we need to work on. So, we're one of the most penalized teams right now in Texas. So, we know we need to work on that, not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side. And we also need to work on getting everybody accumulated to the ball. So that's it.
You mentioned the penalties, and that's something that's, for the last couple of years, it's out of character for what this team has done. Is there any rhyme or reason you guys have been able to see for that?
No, not really. We were so focused on being physical and attacking. We kind of want to make a statement going into the ACC, and conference play starts next week after TCU. So we want to kind of send a message to our opposers and we're not here to play. This is not some soft Highland Park, none of that, because that's what people think. So we want to kind of show everybody that we're going to be physical, we're going to play to the whistle, and we're going to play to the end of every single quarter, every single game.
All right, I think players like to give kickers a hard time. But your kicker hit 5 the other night, and he hit from 53 and 52.
Man.
That's got to impress everybody out there, doesn't it?
I ain't know who was out there, man. Colin Rogers, man. I'm he looked like Justin Tucker, man. That was crazy.
That's got to give everybody a lot of confidence, though, that I mean, 40, 35-yard line, you're in range. You
Yeah.
guys are in scoring range. That has to help the whole team, I think, with confidence.
Yeah, just even off a touchback, we usually start on the 20, 25. So, like, knowing that we only need by, like, 30 more yards and Colin can put some points on the board, that makes us feel a lot better. Not only the offense, but the defense, like, all right, if we make a stop here, we're going to get some points on the board no matter what. So, Colin, like, he built a lot of trust within us, and I'm pretty sure the whole team, but we're just thankful to have him. And I think he's going to be here for one more year, isn't he? So,
yeah.
So that's
He's going to have all the kicking records.
You have all the kicking records.
He tied the career field goal record already.
Man, he about to break a whole bunch of records, man.
He's only 2 away from the all-time extra point record.
What?
So, yeah, I thought that's what he was going to break Friday.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to get 5 field goals. That was, by the way, the single game record that Colin made for us on Friday night. How have you guys used the off week, and how are you using this off week to kind of recoup and get ready for a rivalry game next week with TCU?
So we're trying to get everybody physically and mentally prepared. We got a couple dudes who just kind of took a couple nicks and bruises, so we're taking not the physicality off of it, but just a lot of the running out of it so everybody can get back healthy. And then we're also focusing not just on TCU, but getting our blocking scheme down, getting all this stuff down that we need to work on that we saw were kind of flaws in last week's game.
Right behind you on the team tackle list are your fellow linebackers, Ahmad Walker and Alexander Kilgore. Alex jumped right in last year. You guys are a tremendous 3-man rotation there. What's the competition like among you 3?
Oh, it's a friendly competition, but at the end of the day, like, we both are chasing that tackle leader title. So last year I had it. Ahmad Walker tells me every day, like, yo, you're not going to lead the team in tackles this year. I'm like, all right, we going to see. But Kilgore's right there behind with all of us. And he's a sophomore this year. So it's a friendly competition we got going on, but at the end of the day, like, we want to see each other succeed. So
Ahmad, of course, played for Scott Simons at Liberty before transferring here, same time that you transferred here last year. Did you feel like you were kind of playing catch-up with him last season?
Yeah, Ahmad Walker, you can already tell he knew the playbook way better than I did. So just having him, though, helped me a lot because he taught me things that Coach Simons, Coach Crum wasn't teaching me as well. But it wasn't more about playing catch-up. It was just trying to get right with him because Ahmad, it's not really bad competition in that room. He wants me to succeed alongside with him, so he helped me do that by just helping me getting the playbook down.
And then Kilgore snapped 2 last year of his college career, had a sack already.
Crazy.
I mean, were you impressed with how quickly he jumped right into the fray here last season as a true freshman?
Yeah, like first off, I didn't when I first got here, I didn't know Kilgore was a freshman. Like, he looks like he's about 26 years old, pays a mortgage, got a couple kids. And he plays like it, too. He's playing with his heart on the line. So don't get me wrong, but he's not he wasn't a regular freshman. He's not built like one, and I expect bigger things from him coming on.
You're out of Snellville, Georgia. You played at Temple for 3 years before you transferred here last year, and now this year in a Power 4 conference here in the ACC. But in hearing you talk with the media one time last month, I felt like you kind of had a chip on your shoulder that it's taken this long to get to a Power 4 conference team. Like, you felt slighted a little bit.
Yeah, and a lot of people know, like, the height does play a role. Like, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm not the biggest guy. I may not be the fastest, but I feel like I put that work in to make it to that conference, to make it to a Power 4 conference now. So just being that underdog, I took that mentality and kind of created a chip on my shoulder when I was a young age. So now I got to come for it all.
Tell us about some of the other linebackers behind you that we don't see a ton of, but we saw Brandon Maizano some last year. Brandon Booker, Justin Medlock transferred in this year. Tell us about some of the other guys behind you.
Yeah, so Brandon Booker is the guy like I'm really excited about. He just came in, and he's a guy who's picking up stuff very quickly. He's very physical, very fast, and I can already tell that linebacker room within the next couple of years is going to be like one of the greatest. And you got Brandon Maizano who's a physical, fast, and talented linebacker, and once he figures everything out, like, he's going to be really good as well. Like, he reminds me of Danny Stutzman at Oklahoma right now. And Justin Medlock, he's a great addition to us as well because he's a smart linebacker with great football IQ, and he knows how to cover. So we also got Terry and Lee, too, who's more on the vet side, and he brings the energy every single day to practice. We call him Mr. Coffee because he always got the energy and he always got the juice, and he's a bigger linebacker we can use for goal line packages. So we have linebackers, we have depth that we can use anybody everywhere.
In front of you, a lot of new defensive tackles this year. Tank Booker, Jared Harrison Hunt, Mike Lockhart, Jonathan Jefferson. What are these guys doing that help you?
Man, they keeping those big dudes off me, man. I'm only like 5'9", 5'8", man. I'm not trying to touch these 300-pound linemen. So the fact that they, getting their paws on them, keeping them off me, man, I love them for that. And I got to take them boys out in a couple weeks to dinner. So
You know a little bit of the history here with TCU, this being your second year, and I'm sure you've kind of heard some more about it. You know what rivalry games are. What would a rivalry win mean for you guys next week?
Oh, I mean, this being my last year, it's nothing I really want more, man. Like I didn't beat him last year, and I didn't really fully understand like the hype it was around it last year. But now I get it. Like I see everything on Twitter from the burner accounts, man, from the TCU whatever, man, and it infuriates me because I'm like, who do these dudes think they are? They're 30 minutes away. Like they talk all the junk about it. So like a win here, like it's almost like a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they want to say like treat it. No. Like I really do want to take pride into this game, and I want to give it my all, no matter what.
You guys get any time away this weekend with the bye week?
Yeah, we do, but like we try. I mean, we do, but we trying to focus on using all that time we can to focus on them right now. So.
You watch other games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Sure.
Big time into it this weekend. I mean, you don't get many Saturdays.
We really don't. And
I know I don't. I love these Saturdays.
Yeah, and the bye week does give us time to, like, just study other opponents that we also are playing in the ACC. I know a couple of ACC opponents are playing this week, too, so we'll take a look at them and look at some of their game plan and some of their tendencies they have. So that'll help us get a jump on things.
All right, well, let's get a jump on next week. Mm-hmm. Kobe Wilson, thanks for joining us here tonight. We appreciate you coming out. Let's hear it for Kobe.
Appreciate you.
And we have more to come here on the show tonight at Ozona Grill and Bar. We're here every Monday night, 7 o'clock, every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock for the Pony Express show here at Ozona Grill and Bar. And we're going to have SMU Senior Director for Player Development and Dallas Recruiting Relations, Scott Natty, up next. Welcome back here to the Pony Express show, not with Rhett Lashley this week here at Ozona Grill and Bar. Rhett will be back with us next week. Again, a prior family engagement had him away from us this week. The SMU Mustangs are off this weekend. Next week, it is the battle for the Iron Skillet. 4 o'clock Saturday, SMU and TCU at Gerald J. Ford Stadium, 214 SMU Game or SMUMustangs.com. It'll be on the CW locally. That's Channel 33. Radio-wise, I'll have it on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket, as well as on the SMU app. College football is back. Simplify your tailgate planning and upgrade your game day at the biggest SMU games this season. Full-service tailgates are selling fast. Contact Rebel XP at 214-935-1683 or SMU at rebelxp.com for more information. Joining us now, our second guest of the night, our Senior Director for Player Development and Dallas Recruiting Relations, Scott Natty. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How you doing?
Good. You have the extra wide business card.
That's right. Yeah. 5x7s.
Tough to carry around, I'm sure, in
yeah.
a wallet. All right, tell us a little bit about the day-to-day and maybe the week-to-week for you in a role like this.
We're always trying to stay a cycle ahead in the recruiting cycle. Myself and Danny Wesley back there in the black hat sitting next to my wife. He's my right-hand man, and we try to stay ahead of the recruiting cycle, knowing what's coming up so far as in the transfer portal and locally. And we also try to keep a bead on our own locker room. We both are fortunate enough to have tremendous relationships across the board in every position group, and we kind of keep the temperature of the locker room, report back to coach, and just kind of keep him abreast of anything that he may warrant his attention.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. You're kind of the eyes and ears in the locker room.
Yes. And that's we're both blessed to have pre-existing relationships with a lot of these kids. Danny's been a staple here in Dallas for years. I've been born and raised here. So we've known some of these kids like Isaiah Wacobia or, since they were 10 and 12 years old. So There's several kids on the roster that I've known since middle school, so
Wow.
they're very talkative with me.
When it comes to recruiting, are you focusing specifically on certain players, or are you more of kind of an overarching view of relationships with the schools and the coaches and the players?
Yeah, my role is kind of morphed more towards the transfer portal world. There's a tremendous amount of talent out in the country from the Dallas area that has gone off to chase shiny things and
Sure.
realized they want to come home, and that's where I've kind of put most of my efforts.
You mentioned you're a Dallas guy, graduated from W.T. White High School, grew up here. You know a lot of these kids here, obviously, like you just said, for many years. I mean, what's the key for you? You're similar age to me, I think,
Sure.
of relating to these kids who are 16, 17, 18 years old, getting ready to come to college.
You know, I have the advantage of having been a head football coach for almost 20 years. So really, I've stayed in the flow of that age group. And some would argue, definitely my wife, that my maturity level never surpassed probably the 15-year-old range.
And she's known you since then, right?
That's right. We started dating when I was 15. So, yeah, I've had the advantage of kind of staying in that window and staying current with what they're thinking, what they're doing, what they're dealing with. And I have two beautiful kids of my own and try to stay present for them. And really, I think the key is to – not forget what you felt like and what you did when you were that age, right? Mm-hmm. The world has changed quite a bit, but the mind of a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old boy has been pretty consistent since the dawn of time. And not being out of touch with what that means, I think, is crucial in this process.
Sure. You mentioned your years of high school coaching. I know you started the program, right, at Parish Episcopal?
I did.
03, I believe?
I did. That's correct.
What was it like starting a program from scratch and taking it to a state championship?
Well, they didn't own a leather football, didn't have a field, didn't have any uniforms, and so I went around Dallas with a briefcase telling a story that would eventually be true and raised a tremendous amount of money, and we kind of built it from scratch, and it was an absolute blast. I'm a serial builder. And once it gets built, I do tend to get a little wanderlust. Did it in Oakland, did it in Dallas, and now I'm here. But I pray this will be the last job I ever have.
Now, you turned that field blue there?
I did, yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Because it's the old adage, there's no such thing as bad ink. A lot of people talked about how much they hated it. A lot of people talked about how much they loved it, but they were all talking about it.
Sure.
So we loved it, yeah.
I can tell you from doing games at Boise, it's not as shocking in person.
Right.
When you flip by on TV, though.
That's right.
Eastern Washington's even more
awful.
Shocking because they're
awful.
still red?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
We're not going to go blue here, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
I like to hear that. You did come here in 2018 when Sonny Dykes was the head coach. You kind of had a year off in between.
Correct.
Like you said, you get the wanderlust.
Uh-huh.
You thought the end there at Parish Episcopal. When you left there, did you have any idea what you were doing next?
I was public speaking. I was fortunate enough to be able to do it around the world and really enjoyed it. I took my son out of school, homeschooled him for a year. I was with him all day, every day, which was a total blast, probably the best year of my life. And Sonny reached out to me, and I went up and had a meeting with him, and I thought we were just going to talk about special teams, and ended up offering me a job. So I, like any young coach would do, I called my wife and asked permission if I could take a job, and she said yes, and so that's how it all started. I'm incredibly in debt to Sonny for giving me that opportunity.
From the time you started here in 2018 to today, how's the perception of SMU changed locally and even outside of the Dallas area?
I think we've one of the first things I said to Sonny is we have to convince Dallas that SMU is in Dallas. Growing up here, it felt as though I grew up probably 15 minutes from SMU, but it felt like SMU was in Highland Park, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the appeal, is wide and massive, and so we started the Triple D campaign. Myself and another guy kind of started that ball rolling, and that was kind of a signal to the city that we are in Dallas, and we wanted to be Dallas's team. And just like anything in my coaching career, it was pretty much plagiarism. Pete Carroll did a great job of doing that at USC in Los Angeles. He convinced Los Angeles that there was only one team in Los Angeles, and and got the whole city kind of behind them. And they sell out the Coliseum with the same kind of student body size we have. So all those people didn't go to USC, and that's kind of what we wanted to create here. And I think the buzz has been tremendous.
What was that transition like for you, going from being the head coach who built the entire thing to now working for somebody else?
Yeah, it was interesting. You got to bite your tongue quite a bit. But I was fortunate enough to be given a opportunity to be me. And I wasn't working directly under anybody, really. I kind of had my own path. I've never been anything but a head coach, really, until I came to SMU. So it's been a learning process. It's been humbling, but it's been fantastic. I needed it more than I knew, and I just try to find little areas where I can add value. I try to work with some of the younger coaches and say, look, here's what you may be going through. Here's what you may be thinking. I remember when I had that same intersection, and here's how I dealt with it, or here's how I messed it up, and here's what you shouldn't do. I have a lot of those. But yeah, it's been an absolute joy. I love coming to work every day.
Obviously, you knew Rhett Lashley when he was here with the staff as an assistant coach. Is that kind of what led you to stay here when
100%.
Everybody else went to Fort Worth?
As soon as I knew that Coach Dykes was going to leave, I started, putting the word out to anyone that would listen that I thought we had one candidate that was a perfect fit in this country, and that was Rhett Lashley. And I've grown. I didn't go to SMU, but I've grown to love SMU as if I did. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to stay, but I know myself as well, and I'm not just a fall in line guy unless I truly believe in the leader. And once Rhett got the job, then I knew for sure I was staying, and I went and got Danny Wesley to come as well.
As I mentioned, your high school sweetheart, Ronica, back here.
Hey, babe.
Joining us here tonight. You guys both from W.T. White, raising your kids here, Max and Phoenix. Phoenix is an amazing story. You got to tell us about her. She's in her second year of college, and she's not going to just any old place, is she? She attends Juilliard in New York City. And, you can clap for her. I had zero to do with that. They had 15,000 applications, and they accepted 9 students. Wow. And acting, right? She's an actress, and she sings a little bit, but she's an actress primarily. And again, I was present for her creation, but I offered no value. All of that talent goes to Mom. I'm sure you had some value. And I know you've had a lot of value of your son, Max. He's a real special story, too. He is. He's a 16-year-old at Booker T, same high school Phoenix went to. He was born with cerebral palsy in his legs. We were told he would never – he had a 6% chance of walking with a walker, 0% chance of walking on his own, and a 94% chance of spending his life in a wheelchair. And by the time he was 8 years old, we had him through the walker, through the quad canes, through the leg braces, through the ankle braces. And last year in 8th grade, he ran cross country for his school. Wow. All those lessons I learned working with young people and pushing through obstacles throughout my coaching career really was just a preparation for the arrival of my son. God's funny like that. He gives you the tools you need before he shows you the job to use them for. Yeah, I'm with you, because I'm not sure I'm the coaching guy to do that. I mean, I know you've had a lot of help too. Obviously, it was a lot of PT along the way, but still, that's got to be a day and night thing to get through. It was amazing. Credit goes to my wife. We tag teamed. We were 7 days a week, 3 or 4 hours a day for 12 years, and he still does PT and still does those things, and it's a lifelong battle. But where he is a huge credit to her. Back on the football side quickly, with a Friday game last week, and then we got an off week. How important is it for you and all the staff guys to be back out on that recruiting trail, back out seing games and whatnot? It's going to be great to get the staff back out on the road, to get this game put behind us, and we're 100% focused on TCU. It took us a couple days to watch the film. I think I watched the game 9 times. Every time I watched it, I thought we'd win, and we didn't. Didn't change, huh? No, didn't change. And we've got it behind us now, and we're solely focused on TCU and getting our guys back out in the community,
and in front of the best players in the country is going to be massive for our staff. And it's the bye week comes at a perfect time. We can get healthy, get focused on our rival game coming up, and it's I think going to be time well used.
All right, well, he's our Senior Director of Player Development and Dallas Recruiting Relations, Scott Natty. Scott, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Pal. Appreciate you. All right.
This is the Pony Express Show, brought to you in part by the SMU Cox School of Business. They offer top-ranked MBA programs designed for every stage of your career, whether you're just starting out or ready to move to the C-suite. Find your fit in one of our flexible part-time, in-person, or online programs. Now accepting applications for spring 2025 entry. Apply at smu.edu/Cox/Pony Express. We'll talk to defensive coordinator Scott Simons coming up next here on the Pony Express Show. Welcome back here to the Pony Express Show. I'm Rich Phillips. Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock at Ozona Grill and Bar. No game this week for the SMU Mustangs. Next Saturday, though, a 4 o'clock kick for the battle for the Iron Skillet, SMU and TCU at Ford Stadium. It's on the CW Channel 33 as well as 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. We'll also have our Pony Up pregame show 2 hours before kick right here on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page at 2 o'clock next Saturday, so be sure and join us for that. As I mentioned earlier, Rhett Lashley not able to be with us tonight due to a previous family commitment, so we'll have Coach back next week. I've got plenty of Ask the Coach questions that you all have submitted, but they're pretty much head coach related, so we're not going to submit our next guest to that. We'll let Coach answer those next week. But please do welcome up here for our final segment tonight, SMU Defensive Coordinator Scott Simons. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself, Rich?
I'm doing good. Doing better than we all were last Friday night. Obviously a tough night, 18-15 loss to BYU. How did the guys handle it? How did the guys react after that Friday night and into Saturday?
Yeah, I think, the normal way. If you care, our guys were really upset and, all the way around. Really close ball game that didn't go our way in the end. And when you put a lot into it and you care and you work really hard for things and you come up short, it's going to hurt a lot. But we woke up and the sun was up Saturday and, we came ready to work and thought the guys responded for the most part well and are, ready to turn the page to another chapter and next ball game.
Frustrating when you can't get touchdowns. We talked about it, though, with Kobe Wilson earlier. Man, you got to be impressed with your place kicker, Colin Rogers.
Man, I thought he was phenomenal. To step up and kick the ball like that was obviously huge for us. And we've been on both sides of the coin, though. There was the Memphis game last year where it felt like we couldn't get stops at times on defense. So I think it's really easy to sit there and point the blame, and that's what we talked to the guys about, the things that that starting with myself, that calls that I wish that I had back, the last 3rd and long call in particular. One of those 4th and short calls down there in the red zone, guessed wrong. And so, I think the most important thing as a football team is to, self-evaluate what individuals got to do to get better, starting with our coaching staff, all the way through challenging our units on defense, where we can get better to better control the outcome of the game.
Obviously, big news, too, came out yesterday after practice. Coach Lashley addressed it, naming Kevin Jennings as the starting quarterback this week. You obviously get to see him practice on a regular basis with your defense going up against him. What can you tell about the difference between him and Preston and what we'll see differently on Saturday?
I think both of them feel like I have a pretty good relationship with both quarterbacks. Something as a DC that, I pride myself in getting to know those guys. And, both Preston and Kevin come by. Preston probably more regular by my office to talk. And so I have a lot of respect for both of them. I think they have different skill sets. I think, obviously, Kevin's ability to run, has a really active arm. So I think there's a lot that he brings to the table. Just like the things that Preston's brought to the table over the last, season and a half. So excited for Kevin for his opportunity. And, I think that, me knowing Preston, his maturity and being a competitor, he's going to be, the ultimate team guy. And, I think both those guys, you never know how a season unfolds, right? So just staying ready and being ready for the moment. So, I think the guys are excited for Kevin. And we saw how he was able to move the ball in the bowl game. So it's not like we haven't seen Kevin have some success before for us. And so excited for him for that opportunity.
These guys come by trying to pick your brain about defense? Is that what they come talk to the DC about?
Yeah, Preston will come by and say, "Hey, what's the weakness to this guy?" And stuff like that. And then, you like to talk a little noise to him every now and then. So, but no, they're both great competitors. Really talented young men, and so I'm excited for Kevin for his opportunity too.
After no takeaways for your defense in the opener, 6 in the last 2 games, put you 5th in the nation, by the way, in turnovers gained. Obviously, a huge component to make any defense better is when they don't have the ball nearly as much, right?
Yeah, so Coach John Bonney is kind of our takeaway coach, does a phenomenal job as far as just creating that culture with our guys. We hit them in pre-practice as they come out to the field. We have, takeaway talk that he goes throughout the week. So that's something that after week 1, not getting the ball back, I thought he did a really good job just continuing to emphasize that to our guys. And that's a role that he's really embraced, and we're really lucky to have him.
4 interceptions, 2 by defensive tackles? What are your DBs doing back there?
Yeah, Coach Tibbs works ball drills for about 10 minutes in Indo every day. No, they've done a phenomenal job. The big guys getting their hands up, and I don't know if I've ever seen a D tackle tip a ball to himself and catch it, which is what Corey did the other week. So that's obviously a huge plus, and we're ready for our DBs to start coming down with some too.
Yeah, really. What about Jared Harrison Hunt's interception? He was on the ground.
Yeah,
a second before that ball came to him.
Really good play. Really good play. Yeah. So if you can get those, that's obviously a big time plus. So currently our D tackles are leading us in picks.
They are probably leading the country.
I'm sure
defensive
they are.
Tackles, they are. Let's talk about your defensive line. You got 3 new starters there with Jared Harrison Hunt, Tank Booker, Jafari Harvey. Plus, we've seen a lot of Jonathan Jefferson, Mike Lockhart, even Billy Walton seeing a lot of snaps. How are those guys kind of finding their way into new roles here with you?
Yeah, I think just the depth that we have in that room, really important. I think a game like next week, it's definitely going to be important. With the tempo and pace of play during the course of the game. I think we've definitely have more depth than we've had at D-line since we've been here all the way across the board. And like you said, I mean, there's 5 to 6 D tackles that can roll in the game, and 2 to 3 ends, 2 to 3 bandits. So when you have that type of depth and rotation, that allows our guys to stay fresh, maybe more so in a game that's a tighter game, or maybe, there's quick sudden change situations where we got to go back on the field, and you can roll another guy that at least is fresh and didn't come right off the field. So I think they're playing at a really high level right now. We'll need them to continue playing at that level. I think Coach Dunham and Coach Tibbs have done a phenomenal job with their position groups, and So we'll need them to be dominant for us to have a chance down the road.
Tank had a big hand in the first two games. He walked his man right back into the end zone for a safety that kind of was in that momentum-turning section of the Nevada game. And then I always like the big man touchdown that we saw against HCU, and I know they do too.
No doubt. So yeah, my wife makes treats for the goodie bags for the safeties every week. And so after the first week, Tank was like, "Hey, Coach, the big men need treats too." So we had a little left over, and so I gave him one. So I told her, and then he had his big man touchdown. So I told my wife, I said, "All right, you got to make Tank a bag now every week too." So he gets a little extra large bag, but no, he's definitely changed. Our defense, having a guy with his athleticism for his size in the middle is huge. So, but all the way across the board, I think between Mike Lockhart, between Jonathan Jefferson, Tank, obviously Jared, there's really good depth in there where we feel comfortable as a staff rolling those guys throughout the course of the game.
And then you got returnees doing stuff for you too. Elijah Roberts had a forced fumble that he recovered the other night, and Isaiah Smith sacks at each of the first two games. Cameron Robertson providing a lot, so you've got returning depth there as well.
Yeah, I think our two deep in particular at Indian Bandit is really good right now. There's not really any drop off when Cam and Elijah. I mean, I think those are both two potential NFL ends down the road, and same thing with Jafari and Turbo from a sack production standpoint. So. Yeah, once again, that's really good luxury to have.
Has Elijah seen way more attention paid to him here the first 3 weeks this season?
Well, I just, there's not a lot of inline tight ends that can block him that we've played yet, so you're not going to see as much downhill run game, I think, at him. I think that's just respect for him. I think he's going to get more slide and protection. But, we really haven't gotten an opportunity to rush the passer. That's, outside of Houston Christian, Nevada, was going to run the quarterback and throw screens every third and long, and so that took away a lot of production in that game, and just basically by the second half playing drop 8 and trying to spy the quarterback or whatever, and then it's kind of the same story last week on third down. So I think teams are going to drop back on us down the road. I mean, they're not just going to throw screens every third down. So I think hopefully. If we can get teams in the third and long situations, have an opportunity for those guys to be able to go rush.
We had Kobe Wilson on the show earlier. That linebacking group, when you only play 2 at a time, and you got 3 that are pretty much interchangeable with Ahmad Walker and Alexander Kilgore, it has to almost be a luxury for you as a defensive coach.
Well, I think those 3 guys are really mature, really experienced, and so we put a lot on those 3 guys. And like Kobe said, I think he highlighted, he's a really humble guy. Some of those young guys that are really talented coming up that, we're trying to, push each week right now even to be able to get Brandon on the field more. And, that's something that we want. We're just trying to get him to where we can be confident when he goes in the game because he's got a lot of ability. So, but yeah, all 3 of those guys are as I say, really experienced. I mean, we forget Alex is a sophomore, but right. The maturity of a junior or senior for sure.
At corner, we've seen a lot of guys here the first 3 weeks. Jalen Davis-Robinson, Brandon Crosley, who made that move out from safety, A.J. Davis, Deuce Harmon, Jahari Rogers. Are you just kind of mixing and matching with some of those guys right now?
Well, I think, the kind of the main 4 guys, with Smoke, Deuce, A.J., and Cross. And then Jahari played, really well when he got his opportunity there at the end of the game. So that was really good for us to see. So I think, Coach Hundley's really confident in those guys. I think he's done a phenomenal job. That was kind of the question mark with 2 senior corners graduating was, okay, who's going to be ready to play at corner? I think Crossley's been, maybe better than even we expected at corner because we hadn't really seen him there. It's been a couple years, and obviously that was a different staff, and I'm, really proud of the way that he's playing and embraced that role. And I think Deuce has improved a lot from the spring to now. Smoke continues to get better. We remember how young Smoke is, and same thing with AJ. So, Smoke and AJ are kind of younger guys that they have to have those game reps to improve. Right. It's part of the growing process.
You also coach the safeties, and at the start of the season, Brett Lashley told me, well, you really have 4 starting safeties, he felt like, with C.J. Sanders, Jonathan McGill, Isaiah Wacobia, and Ahmad Moses. And he kind of looks like it, doesn't he, here in the first 3 weeks of the season?
Yeah, he's played phenomenal. He's going to be a guy that's going to get more of an opportunity. You'll see to play. We're really trying to rotate those 4 guys equal snaps between the 3 spots. Ask to those guys to cross-train so we can kind of do that and have that flexibility. And that's really until somebody else kind of emerges. I think, Abdul Muhammad is close to being a guy that, I've got a lot of confidence putting in the game and feel like we can trust. And so just waiting on some of those guys. Jaden Miller-Jones has been hurt. So we really hadn't had an opportunity to see him when he's looked really good in practice. So he's had two injuries already in the start of the season, so he's kind of getting back from that. So those 4 guys have really held down the majority of those reps, and we'll need to play at a really high level for us moving forward for us to have a chance.
With no game this week, what's kind of been the focus on the practice field this week?
Yeah, I mean, introducing the opponent, obviously, working some of the things that maybe have been issues in the first 3 weeks, self-scout, go back and look at what we've called, what's been good, what hasn't. A lot of times when you're in a game week season, week to week, it's kind of on to the next one. So now you get a chance to kind of, go back, look at, what are our tendencies, what have we shown, what are, whether it may be a particular play or something. Most offensive coordinators are copycat guys. So you give up something in the first game, now you're going to see some type of eye candy to give you the same type of play in the second game, third game, so forth. So just trying to make sure that we clean up those areas while also, obviously introducing our next opponent.
Offensive coordinators are copycats. Defensive coordinators aren't, right?
Some of them are. We're laughing as a staff because we were watching OU versus TCU, and Venables coaches the defense there. And about 4 calls that we ran in the TCU game, their safeties coach I GA'd with, and he had called me about, and sure enough, we're watching the TCU game, and they're, but most offensive coordinators, they look at that explosive chart and would you give up, and how do we find a way to manufacture something similar, I feel like.
Well, it is TCU next Saturday at Ford Stadium. Let's introduce them here briefly here. Tell us about their new starting quarterback this year. Josh Hoover kind of took over, I think, the second half of last season. Yeah. 4 touchdowns, no picks the first 2 weeks.
Playing really well, playing at a high level. If you look at his progression from last year to this year, very accurate with the football, throws the ball on time, has escapability, out of the pocket. Maybe not as much of a dual threat as some of the guys that we've seen in the past, but he moves well. Has good touch on the football. So I think the biggest thing from last year watching on film to right now is, 1, how accurate he is, and 2, how quick he's getting the ball out. So, he's doing a really nice job in their offense. And, as we know, it's a really explosive offense. They have a bunch of really good skill, still do at the receiver position, at the running back position, multiple tight ends. It's always a big time challenge when you go against them.
Big size, too, at receiver. That's Savion Williams, about, 6'4", 6'5", and Jack Beck big, J.P. Richardson, real hard-nosed guy. Those are some tough receivers you're going to see.
Yeah, they've got really good length and good speed, catch the ball well. Like I said, it's going to be a game that, I think a lot of it will be played in space, and so we'll have to do a really good job. Obviously coming off a bye week, tackling in space will be key for us to be able to give ourselves a chance.
You grew up in Tarrant County, right?
I did.
Yeah, you went to Fort Worth Christian, I believe, right? Yeah. This game's got to mean a little something to you too, right?
Yeah, it does.
It does? That's all you got?
No, I'm pony up through and through, and our guys are excited for this game and this opportunity, and so just ready to get on with it.
All right, well, I'm ready to get on with it too, but we'll have to wait a week. You watch many games this weekend, or focused on you?
Well, I've got 4 kids, so between volleyball and softball and baseball and flag football, we'll see how much time we have. But
things you don't get to do too often on Saturdays, right?
Correct. So definitely thankful for the bye week for that.
Very good. All right. Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming up and joining us here tonight, filling in admirably, I think, for Rhett Lashley here tonight. Scott Simons, SMU defensive coordinator, with us here. Look forward to seeing that defense next Saturday, 4 o'clock, SMU and TCU. Again, TV-wise on the CW Channel 33. I'll have it on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. Be sure and come back next Wednesday night here to Ozona Grill and Bar. We'll have the Pony Express Show with Rhett Lashley. So be sure and join us next Wednesday night, 7 o'clock.
The Pony Express Show with head coach Rhett Lashley has been presented by SMU Cox School of Business, your ally for life, and hosted at Ozona Grill and Bar on Greenville Avenue. Find your comfort zone. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Mustangs Sports Network.